I got the feeling that somebody we may not know, doesn't want us to hear this or get this out, but this is a real life sermon I want to give. It's not a rehearsed one. It's something I've thought over my head a little bit, but I just want to say that if there is anybody out there that has felt like there are now experienced sometimes that they're not good enough or they're not heard in life. That's not always the case. Life happens, people go through things. And yeah, I mean, in life, sometimes you feel like you've fallen and you couldn't get up, but it doesn't mean that you can't. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that those things that you have experienced are the true things that are really the truth about you. Everybody has their falling. Everybody has their points that they have fell in life. Some have fallen farther than others, but it doesn't mean that you're not capable of getting up, and it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that you're not loved, because life has a way of weighing heavy on you if you allow it. But you got to realize that it happened to the saints before you too. If you're a believer, if you're not a believer, it happened to good people before you. It happened to the people that are no longer here, and it happened to the people that are still here sometimes. It's okay to know that you have been through stuff, and it's okay to go through stuff, but it's good to understand that those those bad times don't last. And there was a wrestler that said, "Bad times don't last, but bad guys do." And that was Razor Ramon. It doesn't mean that we're bad guys. That was his saying in his Hall of Fame speech. And Razor Ramon was one of those wrestlers that I liked when I was growing up. I grew up watching wrestling. I grew up watching different things, from gangster rap to more Christian stuff later on. But we've all grown up in different ways. We've all watched things. We've all seen things. We've all done things. But if we're under the glory and grace of God, and we truly trust in Him and truly give our hearts to Him and accept Him, really accept Him instead of just saying that we did when we were younger, we understand that we can get out of it. And it's not a safety net for us to continue to fall in when we continue to do bad things and then fall back on the safety net, because I mean, one day we're going to fall back if we do continue to go down a path where we're destroying our own lives. And we're not going to be hitting that net, because that's not the way faith really works. This is a question I had when I was waking up this morning that I believe that the Lord did put on my heart. And a lot of people want to go back and say what they would say to their younger selves when they were kids and stuff. I got a question though. I mean, if we could truly, honestly look at our lives when we were younger and see our lives now, what would we honestly say to ourselves? Like, and it's not the wisdom that we would give ourselves. It's the curiosity that we would have in ourselves as when we were younger. What would our younger selves tell ourselves? Did we accomplish what we believed that we were meant to accomplish? Did we um, live that dream out that we had when we were a child, or did we live another dream out that we've had when we were older? What kind of dreams did we have when we were a child? You know, I mean, there's some dreams that aren't accomplishable, but there's some dreams that we can live out and say that we've made it. You know, and not just in heaven, but here on earth. I mean, if we're reaching out to people, one of my goals when I was a kid was I don't even know. I know when I was a teenager, I wanted to have some kind of camp for kids that were special needs and that had abusive home lives. And I know I didn't live that out, but I also know that it doesn't mean that it's not uh, that you can't accomplish it. That I can't accomplish it. If maybe I can kind of accomplish it in different ways. You know, because when I was 14 years old, that was the dream I had when one of my friends died. That was in a wheelchair, who fell off the end of a um, of his concrete walkway. I mean, he lived for like 2 years after that, but he was 12 years old when he passed away. He was 10 years old when it happened. And I know how hard life can be, you know. I've seen it through other people, you know. And I've experienced some pretty unfair things for other people. I don't think it was God's goal for that to happen, but I do know that He's up in heaven. And I know that those innocent people that do die or do move on to another life are automatically in heaven. And I choose to believe that because I know that when this life is over, it's not going to be easy. But I would rather know that I believed in Jesus and know that I believed in a God that is eternal and maybe not make it to heaven than to have the other way around, because the other way around is a very sad and horrible place. People pretend like it's not, but they need to know full well of what that entails, that that's eternal. And if we're not waking up and actually speaking to people and telling them what that is, which is hell, then they may end up there, unfortunately. And it's not to hurt people or to push people back or to preach hellfire and brimstones, because that's not the kind of person I want to be. Because I've had that done to me too. I've been misjudged by people. I've been having people tell me I'm going to go to hell when I was a kid, when I was younger. And experiencing that, I don't want people to experience that through me whenever I'm talking to them. That's all I'm always constantly thinking. Because, I mean, we got to live out the experience if we're going to preach the experience. We can't just preach something if we haven't lived it. Because the honest truth comes out every time, and people see right through the lies, or they see right through the things that you're saying compared to what you've actually gone through. And me really being special needs helps me understand what it's like to feel like you're unworthy of stuff that you are worthy of. Because sometimes you feel like you're the last plate on the last, or you're on the last burner of the oven of other people, but it's not true. People care about you, you know? I've experienced that myself, so that's why I know to tell people that it's not true. The enemy plays games with people's heads, and he's good at that, unfortunately. The reason I say he's good at that is because it's literally spoken of in the Bible many times. He did it to Moses, he did it to John the Baptist, he did it to Jesus. And if he can do it to Jesus, John the Baptist, and Moses, he can do it to us. We just cannot allow him to win. He literally did it to Moses first. And the reason I'm saying this is because Moses was the one that led his people through the toughest times, probably in Jerusalem history. He literally had to go into the enemy's territory and get his people out. He became what he was because God really appointed him to do that. He was misused. He was abused. He was meant to be. Um, he was called. And the reason the enemy played so much with his mind because he was literally meant to be doing what God called him to do there. And the enemy didn't like it. The enemy wanted him to not do that. So he gave him doubt. He gave him depression. He gave him stuttering. Moses was a stutterer, and he didn't think that he was good enough to be God's chosen. Which he wasn't a chosen. He was one chosen. Jesus was the chosen. But what I mean is, he thought that he was not good enough. He was questioning himself, and he was asking God, "Why have you called me to do this? I'm not good enough for this. I have anxiety. I have depression. I have all these things that are holding me back." But I say that's when God's calling you the most. Because if you feel that, that means the enemy doesn't want you to do that. And if it's a calling that you feel is from God, really the best thing you can do is just go for it and see where God leads you. And if it's not for you, then it's not going to last. Can you stop barking? Sorry, y'all. But the main thing I would really say, stop, is don't be afraid to go for it. Stand in the middle of the room. If you feel like you have to say something or speak, don't be afraid to speak, because that's when you're meant to speak the most. People need to hear it sometimes. They need to know that they're cared about. They need to know that they're not unheard. And they need to know that they're worthy because God made them worthy. And whatever the enemy is trying to throw at them, trying to toss at them, trying to tell them, or trying to push on them is not for them. It's meant for him because he just wants other people to be, he wants people to be as unhappy as he is. He wants them to be broken. He wants them to be more than broken. He wants people to be torn apart. He wants people to be depressed. He wants people to be unhappy because misery loves company, and that's all the enemy is miserable. He's not happy. He's broken, and he can't be put back together. We can't be like Humpty Dumpty, though. We need to realize that broken pieces can go back together more beautiful than anything, like a stained glass mirror, a stained glass window, or a stained glass. I say stained glass mirror because you can look in the mirror and see yourself. And if you feel like you're broken, you can see yourself as fixed and put back together in a more beautiful way, in a more awesome way. And when we speak the truth, we got to do it with conviction and not fear. Conviction is doing it anyways. Fear is not doing it at all. Because you can't speak with fear, because if you have fear, you're not going to speak at all. You're going to curl up in a corner somewhere and um, not be able to do it. But conviction gets you past your fear. Conviction is something that is a powerful thing that can pull you through if you believe, if you trust, and if you actually have been through the fire or you're stuck in the fire. Conviction can bring you out of the fire, like Daniel in the lion's den, or Meshach and Shadrach and Abednego. Because when they were tossed in the fire, they saw four instead of three. And that fourth one was Christ Jesus before he was even sent to the earth. Conviction will make you feel the fear, but do it anyways. Because faith is seeing things through even though you don't see them, or understanding that things will get better, even though you don't feel that they are better at the time. It's not about just what we feel, it's about how we experience things. And if we experience conviction, then we understand that that conviction can get us through our lives and do better and have a better life, whether it's ahead of us or right now. We weren't meant to go through pain and suffering all the time. We were meant to actually overcome pain and suffering because of the grace of God. People say fear and pain are a way of life, but they're not. It's a way of something that is trying to weigh us down, that's trying to prevent us from succeeding in life and being happy and being joyful. Because if you see the joy of a child, then you understand what true joy is. And that's God's conviction for us. It's strength, but it's also an understanding that we're going to get through this. Conviction, faith, and love and understanding are good things to have in your life. And if you truly experience them, then those are things that are worth holding on to. All the things that we have done, gone through, put ourselves through, those are not worth holding on to. So you got to forgive yourself if you want true conviction and true love. Faith is knowing, even though you don't see what it is that's going on. And conviction, like I said, is pulling you through. And when you do that, it gets better. It may not get easier because nothing gets easier. It's a hard life for so many people, but they need to realize it's not going to get easier. It's going to make you tougher, make you stronger, and make you more understanding towards other people that are going through a tough time, because you've been through the tough time and you've had the conviction to bring you out of that tough time. And sometimes people don't know what conviction is. They think it's guilt. They think it's that I'm not good enough, that I can't do this, that I can't make it, that I can't be loving and understanding and actually strong at the same time. It's not projection, it's truth. And I just pray that people get it right, and understand that being a Christian doesn't make you weak, and neither does being somebody that has been through something, that has something to say or something to talk about. It's okay to talk to people, because when you're talking to people, you might be witnessing to them somehow. Especially if you're going through something and you know somebody else has been through it or going through it. I mean, what would that child think about you that you were when you were younger? What would he think, or what would she think? I mean, I'm getting theological. I don't know what that is, but theological. Because if you really look back and truly understand what that kid would think of you, then maybe it can help you realize that you can still achieve those dreams that you may have had or different dreams that you have. And it's not about sexuality, it's not about anything like that. It's about truth. It's about, like, what can I do to help other people truly? Or what can I do to make things better for myself, my life, or my family? And if you can truly look back and see that that kid would take it easy on you and actually understand that you may have been through things in life, but you got to go out and have fun. You got to go out and enjoy yourself. You got to do right by yourself. I'm not talking about drinking, driving, doing anything like that, hurting yourself. I'm talking about going after your dreams. Sometimes you just got to do it and stand up and be firm in it. And say that whatever this depression, this anxiety, or whatever this other stuff is, isn't going to hold me back from being what it is that I'm meant to be. Really, the thing I really wanted to do when I was a kid, I guess, was have a family myself and try to be a light to other people, whether it be other kids or be something, do something right. And I may not have been able to do that right away, but it doesn't mean that I haven't been able to actually teach other people or other kids or teach kids or be a light or be something, you know? Because I know that there's other people that look to me. And I know that I've probably helped raise kids, whether it be my nephews, my nieces, my cousins, my aunts, not aunts. What am I talking about? But it's hard, you know? But it doesn't mean that I have to give up or that I'm going to give up on me or doing things or being right, doing things for other people. And I'm just saying this because if you ever experience being ignored or being put on a back burner or anything, I don't want you to feel like you're alone in life. And I don't want you to feel like that's true because it's not. And if this message can get out to anybody about anything, is to let them know that they aren't unheard and they can't. And it's not that they can't do it. Just sometimes when you experience things in life, you got to know how to roll with the punches and you got to know how to get out of it, get out of that pit, and know that you're not alone, and know that there's always somebody to get you out of that. And yes, sometimes it's got to be yourself, but at the same time, I'm just saying, if you believe in Jesus Christ, you know that He can get you out of that too. And if you trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings, then that's when you truly know that you can get out and that you can be pulled out of that situation. You are cared about, you are loved, and you are thought about. You just need to get around the people that actually see you as that. Our foundation is not on ourselves. If you believe in Christ, it's on Christ. It's on the belief. And this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11. For no other foundation can anyone lay that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. Verse 12. Now, if anyone builds on this foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, verse 13, each one's work will become clear, for the day will declare it, because it will be revealed by fire, and the fire will test each one's work of what sort it is. 14. If anyone's work which he has built on it endures, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as though yet so as through fire. Verse 16. Do you not know that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? If anyone dwell, if anyone defies the if anyone defiles the temple of God, God will destroy him. It said, for the temple of God is holy, which temple you are, which temple you are. Verse 18. Let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you seems to be wise in this age, let him be. If anyone let I do this. Okay, let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you seems, no, let no one deceive himself. Let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you seems to be wise in this age, let him become a fool, that he may become wise. Let me read that again. These are the parables that Jesus spoke in, I think. Somebody was speaking parables. Let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you seems to be wise in his age, let him become a fool, that he may become wise. And I think what that means is you got to be a fool to your own wisdom. Because if you're a fool to your own wisdom and you find the wisdom of God, and you're not thinking that you yourself are the be all to end all, and you're not putting yourself on a throne that you don't need to be on, where you let yourself down or other people let you down. Because if we're building our houses on the wisdom of other people, then those houses are going to automatically fall each time. But if we put God on that throne and we build our house on that foundation, our houses will stand. And if even if our houses don't stand, we become homeless. The foundation is still there that we can fall on and understand that we can still make it. It's a firm foundation that is an incredible thing. And I'm not talking about real life. I'm not talking about a real house. I'm talking about our belief, our faith, and our spirits. Because if we build our spirits on a firm foundation, no matter if those walls come down or not, our faith is still going to be the foundation. And it will not crumble. And that's what true redemption is. When we are redeemed, we understand that that foundation is really there. So if you're listening to this at any time of the day, night, morning, really know that it's okay. And just because you go through something doesn't mean that you can't get out of it and you can't be pulled out of it and that you're not unworthy. And it's not because of our doing that we are worthy, it's because of really what Jesus did for us. And some people may not believe in Jesus, may not understand the full story of it. But he saw as we do, as we understand ourselves, he understood as a full flesh man the trials and the tribulations that we went through because he went through it himself. He not only died for us, he lived. And he lived a life that we can model our lives after. People wanted him dead from being a child because he was born in a kingdom where there was a king that thought that he was going to take his throne. He was told by the wise men, and this is the same wise men that were there during the representation of Christmas, the three wise men. First, they came to his. First, they came to King David. No, it was King Solomon, or not Solomon. King Saul. It was a different Saul. But it was King Saul because you had to come to the kingdom to ask to be able to go through the land, and they said they were there to welcome the newborn king. That they were told in a dream that Jesus was going to become the newborn king. And he thought that it was a threat to his throne that when he died, that Jesus would become the king of this world, or the king of that part of the world, which was Bethlehem, I believe. That he was the king of the surrounding uh, parts of Bethlehem too. It wasn't just in Bethlehem. He was a king of a lot of places, I believe, and he was greedy. He was prideful, and he thought that it was a threat to his throne that Jesus was being born, or that Jesus was born at the time, because he ordered children under the age of 2 years old to be put to death. And if we think about that, we look around, we see kids, we see our own children sometimes if we have them. We understand the severity of what that was about, because he literally had children put to unalive throughout those cities and stuff that he was the king over, and it was harsh. And it goes to show you how harsh people can be, especially when there's greed involved. But and if you go back and you look at that and you see yourself in that situation, you could honestly see yourself as a very not only depressed person, but a very bitter person. That somebody literally put you or put death upon you because you were born in their part of the world. But that's the thing about Jesus. He was even willing to forgive the person that wanted to put him to death as a child. And he was willing to forgive the people that he actually forgave the people that put him to death on the cross. And if he did that, then as a person, of flesh and bone, then we can forgive ourselves and we forgive other people that have done us wrong, that have put us in a place that aren't isn't favorable. You're loved, you're cared about, and you're understood. And just know that you're not alone in this life. Jesus loves you. I love you. You're not forgotten. I love you all, my friends. God bless you. If you need anything, just let me know. I'll pray for you. I'll do what I can. God bless you. Okay.